was not actually streaming this whole time.
Really?
Yeah. I had to start streaming and then I had to go live.
Yeah, yeah.
I already don't like what I'm doing here. Well, hello. We're designing. This is the first thing I'm ever putting up on this channel, so that's fun. But we're designing the carousing class. Is that the
Yeah,
plan?
the plan is to design a carousing class for Shadow Dark, and yeah, because I'd kind of come to you with the proposition of, I was like brewmaster class, and I was thinking someone more like making concoctions or something, and but you had some other descriptions about bashing over people in the head with chairs and stuff, and I was like, yo, I want this idea actually. And since Shadow Dark is so well known for its carousing mechanic, and yeah, it just provides lots of fun end of session stuff to look forward to. And one of my best things that I've ever put out is my carousing expanded. But so I was like, oh yeah, maybe there's something we can do here. And I thought you already had some nifty ideas. So yeah, I thought we'd come here and do a live design. And if there's anybody in the audience that wants to pitch in or have any thoughts on the thing. And yeah, I suggested that you could draw a picture that we could attach to this document and put up on drive-through for everyone to go pick up for free or whatever, just a little community thing. I think I had some ideas that we could expand on more carousing stuff because I love carousing. But yeah, well, I just went live as well. So yeah, I've got Brady here with Nashcraft, and I've got my buddy Aaron here from, what's the name of your channel you're using right now?
This is going to be Big Simple Tabletop.
Big Simple Tabletop. Excellent. So yeah, we're here to see what we can whip up, essentially, right? Hopefully I'm live here. I didn't go live.
Let me see your link. Maybe I'll confirm.
All right. So now I should be live. I just launched, I think, right now. Oh man, that was a really well-spoken intro for I'm such a terrible talker sometimes, but I managed to get
see. You did your intro and then you went live.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm back here with Nashcraft, and we're here to design the carousing class with Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark carousing, so well known in the system. And I've got my buddy Aaron here. We're going to design a class. And by the way, yeah, if you're just now logging on, starting into the stream, or even on the stream that I've already had to do this for, if you go over to Pop Over Mine, I've got the zine for Shadow Dark that Aaron and I did. It's called it's named after my channel, Nashcraft. It's just the overall brand. But yeah, this particular issue is called Valhall, and it's got tons of Norse-inspired classes and treasure tables, all new 100 treasure tables, and god boons and a bunch of other stuff. And it's all hand drawn by Aaron himself. So if you want to push back against the AI menace, you better get out there and support some artists, right? Yeah. So otherwise, yeah, that's my little advertisement pitch. And so we're here to design the carousing class. And Aaron had some excellent ideas. He kind of took, I was sort of came to him with a brewmaster class, and he had these other ideas about describing bashing people over the head with chairs and bottles. And I thought that was more my speed that I think we should go for. So we're here to see what we can do.
So so far, my design document for Carouser is he's the WWE style class.
Yeah.
So we gotta go as like hard with that as possible. I think that's my idea. I was thinking like, do you want him to have them? Do you want this class to have like an extra benefit when you're carousing, kind of like the Bard has right now?
So yeah, I've been thinking about that. How much do we need to lean into interacting with the carousing table at the end of the game? Because yeah, Bard just adds a flat D6 to the carousing roll, and you and I have kind of talked about how powerful that can be. I mean, I guess some people with the bards in the party have argued like, this is all I can do, man. Like, don't take this from me, because our poor bard, man. Like, yeah, I remember him like not being able to roll like any of his abilities. Like, none of his abilities like ever worked. They all like failed. But he was able to get some badass carousing rolls for y'all towards the end, because adding that D6, I swear, is pretty powerful.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, so here's how you justify that, right? Like, the fact that the bard gives an extra benefit to the carousing, when you think about it, that's the same as bringing back like an extra 200 or 300 gold worth of treasure, right? So like, if the bard can't really justify themselves in dungeon, they may as well justify themselves at the party, right? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I honestly like when I give it some thought, I'm wondering if the carouser should synergize with the bard somehow. Like you have you have an extra advantage if you have both of them at the table. That'd be kind of
Or
fun.
yeah, that I do like the idea where we could go all the way and be like, yeah, if you have come up with like whole charts or like spreadsheets for like if you have this combination then you get this thing. I thought about some what about this? So I thought about some abilities as far as stuff like I thought it'd be cool to get your other teammates involved with roles to like either like, gamble for higher boons. It's like, yeah, this carouser can kind of start something and then the other one you can kind of pitch it to someone else to maybe do the role and it'll either fail or it'll pop off even bigger. So it's, like tavern song or, tavern chanty and like this, so the carouser starts a chorus or stanza and then, this other player has to, has an option to like, it's like you hot potato, you've like passed the mic to a teammate to finish this song in the middle of this battle, but it's a sort of try to rowdy you up, sort of type, get hyped type thing or whatever, right? And they have to succeed a role in order to, get some effect out of it or something like that. But that way you get your teammates more involved, and I thought it's always fun when other people are rolling. So yeah, if you just, if it's an ability based around getting your buddy involved, I thought that would be something interesting.
I like the idea of like involving gambling somehow. I mean, so the original pitch that I came at you with was I thought it would be kind of fun that like I kind of want to design a class that has like battle stances, right? Like and I think you've tossed this idea around as well, like a class that's like, okay, this round I'm gonna go full chair mode and I'm just gonna use moves that like involve give them the chair. And then this round I'm gonna go full Brewster, and like start chugging my ale or whatever. And then you have like a whole and basically like I think for the carouser it makes a lot of sense that like every single time you select or choose like one of these stances, whoops, drop the pen. You're rolling on a table, like there's a real kind of like random flair to it. So they all kind of have a similar flavor of like play style. Like you have a D4 table and they all kind of have a vibe to them that are like similar in theme. So like, oh, if I go chair mode, that's like full aggression mode. I know that I'm only gonna potentially roll things that are give them the chair. But at the same time, I don't know how that's going to manifest, and I might need to like adapt and think on the fly, much like a real true partier would want to do, right?
Exactly. Yes, you got a Daniel Day-Lewis this class design or something. Speaking of, yeah, I got to get my own carousing drink going here. I don't know if you have your usual soda. Your
my bullshit Jake Paul Primo. No, I don't have anything actually. I had some Dr. Pepper, but it's gone now. That's what happens when you drink it.
All right, well, let's start with some of the. Maybe we'll just start with the simple things and see where that gets us, because we still got to figure out, all right, what weapons and armors and hit points does this thing have exactly? Because I figured, do we agree that it's probably going to be someone who's more like sort of a brawler or bruiser of some sort?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, like, in my head, he's like, Macho Man Randy Savage meets the party slug from Futurama, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll chill him out a bit.
You think so? What do you think? Chainmail at the most for the armor types, leather and chainmail. You don't think they're going to be kind of plate mail type guys, huh?
I think this guy is like starts with the shirt. And then, like, depending on how things go, he eventually just rips it off.
He loses armor. It doesn't matter what kind of armor.
I think, yeah, you give him something that is easy to take off. I think a chain shirt makes a lot of sense. Leather armor would be hard to take off. Yeah, you give him a chain shirt, and then there's got to be advantages to like ripping it off.
You have an ability. It's like, yeah, you just, you come at me, bro, and then come at thee, or something.
Come at thee, bro.
Rip off your armor and throw it on the ground, and yeah, you lose all your AC, but then yeah, your damage becomes crazy or doubled or something goofy or something.
Yeah. As soon as you put the armor back on, the party's over. Yeah, I actually like that a lot.
Come at thee, knave.
Come at thee, knave.
I'm reading. I read Shakespeare for a book club. I host a book club, so I'm working through Othello. So yeah, there's tons of people calling knave is also a word sometimes that is just used for boy and like kind of like man, and sometimes it's used just straight in the pejorative sense. So come at thee, knave.
I'm just drawing a generic skeleton here. I have nothing in mind for a carouser yet. And it's almost feeding time, so you're gonna be hearing some monsters in real life.
So
Yeah.
hit points, are we thinking 1d8?
I think 1d8 makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I mean, how much does I know we don't quite have a barbarian yet, but what's the biggest HP? Is it do we actually have a 1d12 somewhere?
I don't think so. I think the highest is, what does fighter go up to? Is it even D10 or is it I don't.
I think it must be at least d10.
Nah.
I have a book here.
It's D8. It's D8.
No, really?
Yeah, it's D8. Fighter is a D8 class. Yeah, so D8 is definitely the highest. Now it's the dwarf. When you play a dwarf, they get a bunch of health.
Yeah, because they get the advantage on health throws.
So, yeah, because well, that's kind of interesting. The first class to do a D8 hit dice. Do we dare?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Maybe
Like,
depending on
here's the thing.
Here.
Give him a D8, but we're gonna. This is my personal like incentive or motivation here. Is like I really want this class to be someone who, like, a player takes this class to risk it all. Like every single combat, the goals are to have like an absurd time with it, and not necessarily to play optimally. If they make it home at all, like the adventure itself was a party.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, I like this idea, and it's I like how Conan is known for going out and slaying and battling, and then eventually going off to carouse. Well, but he's a little more battler than carouser. We're just doing the opposite of that whole thing. He's a little more carouser than fighter, but he's still a fighter.
Yeah.
Kind of. All right. So we're gonna rock D8 per level for now. We're gonna flirt with breaking the rules here. Yeah, if we give I like that idea of we give him that D8 per level because he's built in with an idea of like donning off all of his armor, so he needs like a little cushier, way to sustain that or whatever, right? If that ends up being a real thing.
But like, are we thinking? Are you want to go hard on this gambling idea, or how do you feel about the stances?
I think that should definitely be. I think we should roll with that. I think give him some like weird, unique abilities. Of like one ability that's maybe like a couple of times per day. I'm already going to use one that you already gave me, and then I'm also going to go with not so much. I think the stances would be a different idea class, and Oh, and I think having a once per day, or we can talk about if it needs to be more than once per day, but the idea of the mini dungeon carouse, it's like the whole party pitches in loose change, and the money's never seen again, but the carouser produces. um,
Oh yeah, yeah. The mid dungeon carouse.
yeah, I think that's an
Um,
excellent idea, and yeah, get some good because like I was just figuring out what if you're gonna spend that money rather than take it out of the dungeon, what's worth that XP that you're gonna forgo or yada yada, right?
I do think we need to. I don't want to get too rules heavy necessarily, but it would be kind of nice if. Oh, you know what? Okay. Um, can we? Do you think we could fit in just like a line that says the bard can assist? Like they still contribute their D8. Was it D8 or just D6 for the carousing roll?
Bards get to add a D6.
Okay, so I think you might. I think it would be not a terrible idea to add a line that says they still get to contribute their D6, but it just contributes to the charisma roll. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how you feel about that.
Wait, say that again.
The bard gets to contribute their D6 still to the mid dungeon carouse, but it's just to the charisma roll. But I don't know, like that's it's sounding a lot like an assist. I feel like maybe that's a rulings over rule thing. Like we don't actually have to put that in. Hey, Lauren.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I feel like what's gonna happen is the first time that someone plays a carouser and they like, okay, I want to do my mid dungeon carouse, and someone's playing a bard and they're like, yo, can I assist with the charisma roll? Probably the GM will be like, yeah, sure, why not? That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Since it is a charisma roll, right? So
To do this effect or whatever.
yeah, to do a mid dungeon carouse. So for people at home, the idea I was having about a mid dungeon carouse, and it's a very tricky thing to do. In fact, I'm just gonna bring up our chat here so I can reintroduce the idea. Hold on. Ba, 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 ba. Basically, okay. Once per day, you may throw a dungeon party. Gold is spent, and a charisma check must be passed. In the same way that you would have to pass a intelligence roll for casting a spell. So the way I see it is this is kind of like casting a spell. Depending on how big of a party the carouser wants to throw, either a small, medium, or large, dictates the DC of the party. And here's where we can like decide now. Do we treat these like spells and say that the carouser can like at level 1 just throw a small party in the dungeon, and then maybe when they level up a couple times we open the floodgates, which leads me to the question, if we're treating them like spells, then we should have other options as well. Like in addition to throwing a dungeon party, the carouser can throw a dungeon shindig. The carouser can throw a dungeon get together, a dungeon mingle, a dungeon drink and draw. You know what I'm saying? And we would have effects for all of these. Or am I getting is this getting out of hand here?
Yeah, we'll have to see, because I wonder specifically if it needs to be because if we're forcing them to pay the gold pieces, and then it's also gated behind DC check, does that mean like the gold just the gold not be spent or something, or is it like
oh no, the gold is spent.
The gold is spent no matter what.
Yeah, it's a risk thing. I was thinking about this actually, is in order to kind of soften the blow on that, and I think that you'll appreciate this, is if the carouser fails their dungeon party check, then they start the next round with a broken glass. So they get like an extra weapon. It's like a D6 weapon, and they can either like throw it or like, you know, stab a goblin, whatever, with their broken glass. But whatever they were drinking out of, whatever receptacle they were drinking out of, as soon as the encounter starts, they start the encounter with a broken glass in one of their hands.
Always get a free glass somehow.
You always get a free glass. Yeah, even if there was.
You always start the initiative roll by smashing a bottle.
That's right.
Somehow you always procure a bottle and smash a bottle on initiative.
But I
rolls.
don't know if that's a little bit too like rules dense, because I know this is already going to be like a lot to manage.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because we're basing it on the carousing feature itself from Shadow Dark. Just trying to use that as a base. I wonder if just that way they just have access to it, and also the way to gate it is I would just give them like you get to do it once per day or once. It's just a once per day ability that you can use, and that way you have to be selective when you use it. Yeah, the gold piece will always get spent, but I would maybe just like the carousing tables we have now is make someone, I guess the carouser, roll the check. Maybe the bard can still add it if they have one in the party, or the bard can add, I don't know, maybe a D4. Or maybe just leave that open, because I'm pretty sure that'd be intuitive for a DM if that's what they want to do with that scene.
Yeah.
But regardless, they'll do a mini one, and we'll make a whole table. I already have tables already built out for carousing essentially, so I can just replace all the text in those. And it'll range from rolling if you get ones. Oh man, y'all are too loud, and you definitely started like an encounter, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And ranging from you got half your missing health back, so maybe all your health back, or maybe a spell slot back, or a missing spell. If you get some higher numbers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would definitely spend 50 gold I just found in this dungeon to get my fireball back or something,
Oh,
or
that's
to gamble to get it
that's
back,
interesting.
right?
Yeah, that's really
it's
tough.
still a gamble, but potentiality.
That's tricky because like I was even wondering if I should even put the D4 HP in there, because I had it set here the small party would recover everyone for D4 HP, but like you really don't want to be stepping on the toes of like the priest and like giving other people the ability to heal and stuff. So I wouldn't mind getting rid of that for something else. But I'm not sure what that should look like. I just kind of threw that in there as an idea. What should this guy look like? He's gonna have a chain shirt.
Maybe you should make him a barbarian helmet, where today they have it where the beer cans tied to the side, but you could have it to where it's got some mugs or
A goblet helmet.
Or he's got it's got the horns. He's got I don't have my camera here. It's got literally like a drinking horn. It's just attached to his helmet, right?
What if we could just give him like a keg backpack? Yeah, this is the thing, is like there's only really two ways we can go with this. We either go like outlandishly cartoonish, or we try and treat them like some kind of balanced character. And I think when you're starting with the idea of a carouser, I mean, either that's just the bard again, or there's something like really over the top.
Yeah, I feel like bards. I feel like the way that Kelsey made it, they were a little more on the scholarly side. They have more of these. I feel like they're not so much a fighter. They're a little more like semi-casters in a sense. I feel like a bard never wants to be up in the front line. But this carouser, like they definitely do, while still maybe hitting on this carousing thing. And so carousers, like I almost think of like I would like to make like some sort of hidden god or deity where it's like the god of carousing or something, and like they just know that the best carousing is after a Shadow Dark adventure, so they always have to go into the Shadow Dark to go have the best carousing, So it's like that's why these sort of people end up doing it, is because they just want to. That's like they're not about fighting, they're not about wizardry, they're just about getting back to a party.
I feel like that's just Loki.
Yeah, right.
Loki's right there. I'm just drawing a Muppet here. This is my carouser here.
A Muppet. Oh my god, that's hilarious. So maybe so I have written here. I got my graphic design here open up. Dungeon carouse once per day using. I need to word this better. Using loose change, but it need to be loose gold on hand. If short rest conditions are met, can initiate a carousing session on the go. The party pitches in gold pieces to the carouser, which is never seen again. and and then the carouser rolls a 1d8 plus. I don't know if I want to plus anything or not. Oh, plus the event bonus. That's what it's called. I'm looking at your picture.
I'm just getting getting him ready here. He's ready to party.
Looks like a deranged Rick and Morty character or something.
Yeah, heck yeah, there we go. This is
okay.
This is our chain shirt.
Then the carouser rolls. Yeah, I almost want to be like, yeah, their eyes are, past their drunken haze, and the sleepless eyes is actually like the knowings of a god. It's like they've touched this other god and this carousing god. It's like some sort of Dionysus sort of thing or something.
They just wield 2 goblets. That's their weapon.
Let me look at the exact wordage here. And so one of the other, so I think this, I'm gonna pitch this out here in a second. We can look at the rest of this dungeon crawls because I got ideas for this. But one of the other abilities that I thought was really good was maybe just have it a couple times. I don't. It's always a wonder of a DC check or per times per day. I think this ability would be. I think it would be like a 3 times per day. That's how I feel. And it's basically the idea of what you said about using, the character has to use the scene somehow would be right. But yeah, just dirty fighting or maybe something like that would be the name of it. And it's sort of like an automatic damage thing, they got to be in close. Maybe perhaps, but it's the idea of just, bashing on a knee or bashing a bottle on their head or chair or, whatever it really is. But yeah, it's basically like a free for sure hit damage attack, but, a couple of times per day. And it's like gated at a particular damage, so like only like a 1d6 or something like that,
Right.
But then maybe in one of the talents, maybe the Snake Eyes talent, it'll be, improve the dice tier of that ability. So maybe you can try to work up to a free D8 or free D10, damage thing at some point,
Okay. So in that case, so do they have to work with environmentals? Like, does there have to be like a crate of something in order for them to take advantage of that?
Yeah, well, how would I don't know, just to sort of force the player to be somehow evocative with it, because I don't know how to exactly word this thing. 3 times per day, you can just attack, hit someone for free, for free damage or something.
I feel like here my thoughts are like they can do it as much as they want, but they're destroying whatever they're using.
Okay.
And like also potential treasure as well. I don't know. Like there's the thing is that doesn't feel good necessarily. That's almost bad enough to never use.
What if we worded it like, your character, 3 times per day. You swing a object worth of 1 slot or something, 1 or 2 slots, because that way you can kind of be fuzzy with the details. You swing it an object worth that weighs 2 slots. That's kind of nice, so you can refer to inventory that way. But you swing an item worth 2 slots worth of inventory or whatever, and it automatically hits, but it becomes destroyed in the process. So that way it's like you can use a weapon or you can use some sort of box or whatever if you're playing with if you and your GM are actually vibing with the environment and able to pull up stuff. But otherwise you're like, oh, I have random things in my backpack I don't mind using.
Well, that just kind of, I mean, that feels like the isn't it like a knave is it Knave, where you can basically choose to do a critical attack,
To do critical, yeah.
but then you destroy your weapon in the process?
Yes. Well, what's better, doing critical with this or just a surefire hit?
I think if you're
Surefire hit's
destroying
pretty nice.
if you're destroying a 2-slotted item, I think
I would
a
say
crit.
up to 2 slots, you know?
Okay.
That way you can't swing something that's worth like 3 slots or something, you know, just kind of prevents that or whatever.
Well, they're never going to want to do that anyway. If it's 3 slots, it's probably something really valuable. I feel like we almost need to incentivize it. Like, they roll d8 per slot of the item.
Or what if it's just, you know, or just increase it. If it's worth 1 slot, you swing a d6. If it's 2, d8, and if it's 3, d10. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, 3 times per day. Oh.
I'm gonna have to feed my cats.
Using and I'm surprised I don't hear him right now.
Oh, I mean, I'm surprised as well because he's been going. He's been meowing. Oh, that keg's way too big. I don't know if this is the vibe you're looking for when it comes to the supplement.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm kind of into it.
Yeah, I think it's great. All right, so 3 times per day using, how do I word this in the most sufficient or efficient way possible, rather? Using an item of 1 slot in weight.
I honestly think you just like, you can, if you want to go just d6, just say like, the carouser destroys whatever weapon they're holding, but it does d6 times the slots that item takes up. Like, that's the most, like, if you don't want to do the whole like d4 d6 d8, if you want to be efficient about it, just like make it a multiplier. But like carouser, let's see, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make a direct reference to smashing a guitar, but like, that's kind of what it feels like. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, the Keith Moon class. Kitty is here.
Yep.
Okay.
Kitty's
so, yeah.
mad.
This picture's cracking me up. Yeah, because if it would be multiple, yeah, I don't know if D6 is the best or D4 if it's multiple of them, you know. Here's how I have it written. I guess it's small. It just looks kind of clunky. It's not a whole lot of text. 3 times per day, using an item of 1 slot in weight, deal automatic 1d6 damage to a close target. It is destroyed in the I should write the item is destroyed in the process. The item is destroyed in the process. If it is 2 slots, or if it is 2 slots, then deal 1d8, and if 3 slots, deal 1d10. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think you need the part in the beginning that says 1 slot item, because you're kind of clarifying that at the end anyway, that the damage is based on how many slots it is.
Okay.
So just say like destroys the item in their hand in a what was it, close range attack?
Yeah.
Depending on the slots, the following damage is dealt.
Using a wait, yeah, you said it really well the first time, and I'm just destroy
Destroy item in hand.
an item to automatically deal 1d6 damage to a close target.
I think this class needs to be axe weapon proficiency only. I'm feeling axe for this guy.
If it is 2 slots, then deal 1d8, and if 3 slots, deal 1d10. Does that make sense?
Sure.
For now. Yeah, so that's one of his little main abilities. Yeah, he'll get to deal some automatic damage to an enemy. All right, and I like that. I think that's really cool. I think the idea is neat. I like this. All right. Oh, and then they usually have a passive for like what kind of they'll get advantage on a certain kind of check or something. Obviously, the.
Oh yeah, like the ranger can make wilderness
Track stuff.
Yeah.
Or navigation checks or whatever. This one could be, I don't know if we would count it for its own table, because and here's what I'm thinking. What if he had like you carouse with advantage, which is different than adding a d6. So if you have a bard and a carouser in your thing, they get to add a d6 and you get to roll carousing with advantage, which is like its own sort of buff, right?
That's insane, but yes. I feel like by doing that, we have just banned this class from all games. Like whoever brings this to the table is like, hey, can I try the carousing class? They get advantage on carousing. You're like, no.
They gotta survive, they're not gonna be, because when you look at fighters deal insane amounts of damage. Like if you actually look at what weapon mastery is, like they deal, like they get +1 plus half their level to attack and damage rolls, so they deal a large amounts of damage. Like this class, like he's not gonna deal damage. Like yes, if he survives, like then he'll shine. But he's gonna do a lot of dumbass things, right? Or hopefully, right, if we play this correctly.
Yeah, that's I guess so. He needs to be dumber still to justify that. Yeah, like I really do. If we're doing that, and I'm on board, but I would say that I really want basically all of his moves to be truly stupid. Like so far, we've only given him good things.
We can go ham on the carousing chart. We can make tons of results and really make it like, oh no, we have a carouser in our team. Something insane happened. So what about okay, well, the idea that you had earlier. Let's put this in here, which is the fight the knave.
Okay, so
what does he say in Romeo and Juliet? He says, "Have at thee, boy."
Have at thee, boy. Let me think. Okay, so like, I like the idea of this character acting like a tank but having 0 tank ability. So he just like taunts someone. We gotta make it clever though. It can't just be like. Well, I mean, I suppose it could be like, basically roll a charisma check, and if you succeed, then the enemy attacks this guy. That could be fun. So here's what I got an idea here. If we want to make this stupid, here's how we make it really stupid. We give them a couple of abilities, a couple of very tempting abilities that are based purely on how much damage he took on the previous round.
Okay.
So like, God, I'm not good at hair. So like, um, what's the best way to track this? Okay, you know what? I'm usually not a fan of these mechanics, but we're gonna make it worth it. Instead of how much damage they took, how about just how much health he has? So basically, you say like, if the carouser is like below half health, then they do double damage or something like that. Or if the carouser was attacked last round, then they get a luck point or something, like something really truly absurdly powerful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I like this idea.
It might even like prompt the player to try and like contrive a situation in which they take like very small amounts of damage. Okay, I gotta go deal with that.
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go feed my cats. I'll be right back.
Go for it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Health threshold ability, which is sort of a fun thing to try to take advantage of in a game. And yeah, it could be something like this, and I could do it with Boltons. Hmm. Okay. So yeah, I don't know what's a health threshold ability name that has to do with drinking, like second wind, or maybe not second wind, but yeah, something about stamina and endurance as far as drinking, like party all night or something of that nature and that connotation. Excuse me. Come on, chat. No one, anyone here? You got ideas for names? Some ability that has to do with endurance and being able to sustain partying and carousing as you get more tired. You get more tired, but you're able to push through or find new new perception or consciousness or ability through this exhaustion of partying and excessiveness and all that stuff. What is a good one? Party on palm all night long. That's not a party song. You gotta fight for your right. Party. That'd be cool to use. I wish I could figure out how to use the Beastie Boys song for this. You gotta fight for your right. Is that the name of this health threshold ability? You gotta fight. This is getting super memey now. Oh yeah, if this is gonna be y'all's fault, Chad. If you don't say something, if you don't put an end to this madness, we're gonna get an ability called.
I'm back.
So I was trying to name the ability here. Yeah, this health threshold ability, right? And so here's some of the things I wrote here. I just have them as bulletins, and they're just if you hit at this. So at half health, something happens. At a quarter health, something happens. And at 1 HP, something happens,
Okay.
Maybe at 1 HP, it's like if you would be attacked, there's like I don't know, something crazy like 50% chance, like it, you take no damage or something, like yeah, 1
That's
HP. It's
actually
like
really cool.
you're like super hella like rolling with it, something crazy.
I actually really like that idea. At 1
Uh,
HP, he's got 50 chance of taking no damage.
yeah. So yeah, it's useful at level 1. It's useful all the way up until forever, But yeah, it's super wildness. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. And then I was trying to name it, and I wrote right now. I wrote, "You got to fight for your right
Fight for your right.
to carouse." Wish there was you got to fight for your right to carouse. Yeah, we should come up with a new medieval Renaissance version of that.
Thou shalt
you must
earn it.
You must quarrel for your for your station.
Quarrel for your
Yeah.
station. I actually don't mind that.
All right, so yeah, at 1 HP, if you would take damage, there is a 50% chance you take none instead.
All right. I love it. Instantly banned. I want everything that this guy's got going for him to get him banned from the table.
It's kind of I wonder if it's hard to get down to 1 HP because is it only at 1 HP or is it better to write at two or less? And because I'm wondering if what if you only ever get to like 2 health points or something? Does that?
I'm wondering, can we make this guy even more of a dipshit? Let's what if he gain benefits for punching his allies? Oh, what if the come at the knave? What was it? What did you?
Come at the boy.
Yeah.
Have at the boy.
What if it has a chance of provoking your teammates or something? I don't know. Yeah, I don't want it to be too annoying. I don't know. You gotta split the diff. Gotta find an acceptable amount of annoying. Hmm.
All right. Well, what about these other claws? Do we like this health threshold ability still?
So what have you got for? Did you say 25%?
Yeah, I have. I didn't fill them out, but I was just trying to think about what the what the thresholds would be. So I have at half health, and then at quarter health, and then at 1 HP.
I just had an interesting idea. Sorry, I have some of those. Okay, hear me out. Because I was just thinking, it would be kind of nice if we simplified this a little bit. What if we bring back the gambling aspect for this part? That each round, how do we do this? Okay, hold on. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I was thinking roll under mechanics would be kind of fun. If what if each round you had to roll your HP, basically your max HP, and you want to roll over your current HP. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, that actually really doesn't work because basically when they level up, as soon as they level up, that's going to be impossible to manage. Never mind. Yeah, never mind. My only problem with percentages is it's then the player has to do math, and I don't want to.
I can just write at at half HP rounded down, because they do enough rounded down. I mean, even on a basic fighter, you have to do rounded down math because it's half your level rounded down, right? So here I could be like, what's half your HP rounded down? And hopefully that's not too hard. It's like half of 33 is 16 and a half, so 16 or whatever.
Not that I don't believe you, but can you remind me when the warrior or the fighter has to round down?
In their basic, one of the fighters main, I mean, fighter and thief, if you think about it. I mean, they all have abilities like this, but fighter class, weapon mastery, you get +1 attack and damage with that weapon type that you choose. In addition, add half your level to these rolls round down.
Oh, wow.
So you have to take when the priest heals with cure wounds, they add a d6 plus half their level. Rogues, when they deal backstab, they deal an additional die of damage equal to half their level, rounded down.
So is this something they have to calculate whenever they make an attack? Since they're using this is +1 to their attack. Yeah.
For the fighter class, yeah, they will add that to their attack roll. They're half their level.
Okay. All right, I'm willing. Okay, so I like half round down then, since it's already established, and I like 1 HP because that's as simple as it can be. 25%, you lost me. You gotta really make
At
that
a quarter.
worth it.
Okay, so yeah, then what if we just go? What if we also want to keep him? Sometimes he can be happy at full health too, and maybe at full health. That's what gets him into the fight. Maybe that way we can write at full health points, you get this, so that way he's like, oh, I'm going to go out and start using that right away. And then it gets knocked off, and that's fine because now he's got these two other things to maybe look forward to,
Maybe that's the only time you can do come at me, boy. Is when he's at full health.
At full HP, do something.
I kind of like that in a way because that's like the only time they can taunt a creature is when they're like the most, cognizant, and then like as the battle is persisting, they're getting like trashed, and they're gaining more and more abilities. And like it's not that they're drinking throughout the fight, but I love the idea that like their HP almost represents their inebriation. Yeah, we need to lean into that. I actually really like that. So like if at 1 HP there's a 50-50 chance they don't get downed on a hit, which I think makes a lot of sense, right? Like if someone's really trash, they can take a punch, right?
Yeah.
So and maybe at 50-50, what would be a good 50-50? Like they get they get something like an extra attack. Maybe that's when they get their fight dirty. Was fight dirty what you had assigned to like breaking stuff in order to get like a critical or whatever?
Wait, say that again.
What did you name your like taking environmental objects and smashing them? What is that called?
I called that one dirty fighting.
Okay, so that's your dirty fighting?
Yeah, dirty fighting ability 3 times per day. They can just do that.
What if that's their 50% move? So instead of 3 times per day, they can do it when they're at half health. And the nice thing about that is
they can only do it once they get that threshold.
No, they can only do it when they're at that threshold.
But then they can dirty fight as much as they want.
Yeah, and I think that you would find that gates it almost as hard. Because honestly, the only thing that's a little bit tricky about this is I might be tempted to say when they're below half rounded down. So when they're below half health rounded down, they can dirty fight as much as they want. And I think that that's fair. And the reason being is because they're already smashing things. Like there's already a huge penalty associated with this. But also, like they're at half health rounded down. They're allowed. And they would be like trashed enough that they would start breaking stuff, like trashing the hotel.
Do you know who Keith Moon is?
I'm sure.
Talking about rock and roll and people who unfortunately drunk themselves to death. Keith Moon was the drummer for The Who, and he's literally known as the rock and roll party star who got banned from hotels for doing insane things.
I knew about that. I didn't know specifically the name. I'm horrible with names. I'm not sure if that was the guy who smashed their guitar.
Nah, that was his bandmate Pete Townsend who smashed the guitars.
Amazing. Okay.
I used to have a Who poster in here somewhere. The Who was like one of my all-time favorite bands of all time.
I went through a
Yeah.
Who phase, but I was it the Who was the no, I'm thinking of someone else maybe the Doors. One of those.
Yeah, the Doors.
The Doors.
I went on a huge Doors tangent recently again because I was obsessed with the Doors for a while too, and I do this other channel where I do like Shakespeare research and other literary stuff. But there's a book that's called like The Crying of Lot 49, and it's like written in the 60s, and I made this little intro music video for another video I did, but it definitely has some Jim Morrison stuff in there. And then come to find out, Jim Morrison, one of his songs is actually a line from Thomas Pynchon, that book's author, who died in a weird motorcycle accident. Anyway, it's a whole other tangent. I could digress like infinitely on this subject or whatever. But yeah, the Doors. The Doors are awesome. I love the Doors.
You would be monologuing because I unfortunately cannot contribute to that at all.
But I was looking at, I was watching all this stuff about the Doors, and like watching the old footage, and this was like, a little over a month ago. And of course, started watching the Val Kilmer, Doors scenes again, because I, watched a long time ago. I was like, oh, look, Val Kilmer and the Doors, I was watching some of that. And yeah, then very shortly died not long after I was sort of focused on all that stuff. So I thought that was a little eerie, but it's not my fault, y'all.
It's not your fault, no.
All right. So yeah, maybe we're doing. I would have to reformat this. That'd be an interesting way of doing a character class like that, is accessing abilities like this. So
I think that's a lot of fun, actually.
At half health, you can dirty fight. Yeah, how to.
I still kind of want to go harder. Like, I want this.
I still want to go harder.
I do want to go harder. Like, I'm just thinking, like, I want this character to be almost like a menace, both to, the party and the monsters. Like, if there's a bottleneck, they're the ones who are, like, gonna go and, like, get in the face of the monsters and also block the party.
I'm gonna smash the bottle.
I smashed the bottle, yeah.
There's a bottleneck. I smash it. I'm trying to reorganize it based on this suggestion. Oh, I need to kind of get loaded with abilities here because I forgot how to fit this.
That's the one thing.
Dungeon Cross in here.
That's why I was thinking it would be good to combine like their abilities with the health gimmick, because I figured you were already going to run out of room, and they're already starting to feel a little bit complicated.
No, I can figure this out. We can do this. Put this here. All right. We should be able to fit this all because I only need to. Right now it should fit because we only need one more at this thing. We only need one more ability for full health points, unless you like my bar shanty idea. I don't know where I would even put that.
Well, what's the bar shanty idea?
That was the one about lobbing a roll to another player for a bigger effect of some sort, where the carouser starts some stanza of some well-known dirty tavern song or something, and then, is expecting someone else to follow up, but, both players get some kind of buff or, boon from doing such a thing, especially if both of them succeed the roll or whatever,
I feel like, okay, so like in the same way that the bard inspires people and gives them a +1, if at the time of attacking the carouser like throws out a name for the attack and it sounds good, then the GM rewards them in a way that seems
name
fit.
Suggestion.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's like either +1 or a luck point or whatever, but Like it should be put in writing almost exclusively to incentivize the player to like do this, like go out of their way to think of stuff while they're waiting for their next turn. Call it something like Gonzo inspiration. Party courage. Kind of like party courage or something like that. What is like a is it just a fair, like what is a medieval or like RPG, fantasy RPG style party? What would that be called? A carouse, I guess. I don't know. Carousing courage. There you go. Perfect. No notes.
You can fight dirty is probably how I should put it. Fight dirty. There we go. Rename this.
Yo, hand gestures were a mistake.
So should that be the full health point ability, or should it be something else for a full health point ability? Or that should be maybe just
no.
Something
Dirty
else.
fighting is their half health.
Right? No, I meant but the carousing courage or the.
No, I feel like
the
that should be
rally.
their taunt. The come at me. Because then that means they can only do that when they're at full health. So as soon as they take 1 hit point of damage, they can't
Okay.
taunt anyone else. So that like really limits that.
Okay. So at full health points, you can taunt come at thee boy. Yeah, I've actually in one of my other adventures I did recently, I did a lot of Shakespeare random referencing. I was like, I need some kind of thing, and I ended up picking Shakespeare for some reason several times. So come at the boy. It may have to be renamed, but we'll see.
I like come at the knave. I know the is you, isn't it?
Knave?
The is you. Like if I say the, I'm referring to
Or the, or I think it's more like them.
Oh, them.
I think maybe more like that. Yeah, I do love V. I do love them. I think that's what it is.
Come hither, knave.
Well. Come hither. I bite my thumb at thee.
Your mother smelleth like hamster.
So yeah, was it like target creature, target humanoid, or only any target creature?
It's a really good question. I don't know. Like, let me take a flip through the Shadow Dark book here, because the thing is, like, is anything inhibited by like understanding? Like, if I go to the spells, for instance, and I look at something like charm.
Sometimes they'll say it has to say like target humanoid. They'll specify that sometimes, or it'll give it a certain level cap
Yeah,
off,
okay,
like
so-
only level 3 or 4 or less or whatever.
Charm person is magically beguile 1 humanoid. So yeah. So let's match that. Let's say beguile. This is a taunt a humanoid.
Yeah, target humanoid. Should be a charisma check. Be like DC something 12 maybe, and target. Make a DC charisma check. Target humanoid must target you and rolls with disadvantage or something too, or maybe right. So that way,
Well, now
You're
they were.
getting someone to come after you, but you can kind of maybe hold on to that ability a little, even though you're already baiting some attacks on you. You know.
Yeah. I wonder if it wouldn't actually just be easier to say have the monster roll an opposing check. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. If we just say that the monster rolls a DC like wisdom throw, because it's
Oh,
not.
I was making it. My bad. I meant the carouser
Oh,
has to make a charisma check. You know, like a wizard has to do it to pop off a spell.
yeah. No, I got you. I'm just wondering. Here's the reason I'm thinking opposing check is for a couple things. Like I'm just looking at charm person here, right? And they've got beguile one humanoid of level 2 or less. And so like this is like magically beguiling a level 2 humanoid. And so in the same way, like we don't want to necessarily undermine charm, for instance, right? We want to make it like really underline the fact that this is not a magical thing that Carouser's doing. He's taunting the creature, right? And on the same respect, I mean, I guess if we do make it a charisma check, that's not bad because the Carouser's hopefully going to be having a fairly high charisma check, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. I just want to like, on one hand, I want to make this really simple, but on the other hand, I want it to sort of scale easily. But Shadow Dark almost doesn't do scaling. It just doesn't. I almost respect that. All right, yeah. So okay, let's just say that the I don't know, DC 12 plus the level of the creature. How about that? That's actually not bad. Yeah.
I think 12 is too high. I would just start with 10 and make it a sort of like akin to doing that casting a spell, you know?
Okay, well, how about 10 plus the level of the creature then?
Yeah. And then what happens? They must target him and they roll with disadvantage next turn or something?
Yeah, basically just say it like if the creature can, they must attack the Carouser on the next round on their following turn.
Okay.
Within
With
reason.
Disadvantage okay. But yeah, creature must try to attack. Is compelled to attack, you know, for the next turn.
Yeah.
Okay. I want looking up some wordage here. Oh yeah, what were you saying?
This is my favorite part, is I get to do the stippling because I've got so many tricks here. I get to just boop.
Hey, Brady.
Yo.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Allen's coming to hang out here for a minute. Yeah, we're doing some designing for the Carouser class that we came up with. And yeah, Aaron is here as my artist. Aaron, this is Alan. He's the one working on the Shadow Dark VTT, actually.
Oh, nice. Hi. How's it going?
How you doing? Good.
So we're just coming up with a sort of gonzo class idea here for Shadow Dark, having a fun time coming up with some, maybe trying to push the boundaries of what could be done or allowed in this game system. Yeah, we'll see what we can get away with. You know, we've got this sort of, you know how I sort of described it at the beginning is, yeah, I think how I pitched it and was, you know how Conan, you know, he definitely goes out there and fights and wields the sword, and then, you know, yeah, he'll go and party at the end, you know, but he's a little more fighter than partier. Well, this character is like kind of the flip. He's a little more partier than fighter, but you know, he'll still do that fighting stuff, but you know, it's more of a means to an end.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're thinking about, we have some. I think the bread and butter of this class, the way it kind of panned out is at different health thresholds, different things are going to happen for this class. So at full health, you have access to this particular ability, but then in half health, you get access to another one. And then we have this one clause where at 1 HP, if you would take damage, there's actually a chance that you would take none instead.
Okay.
So but yeah, if you ever get all the way down there.
Does this character have abilities to affect carousing checks? You know, when the adventure is done as well, kind of like a bard.
We were talking
So, yeah,
about
we
that.
were-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, Brady, I love the idea you had, even though it's broken and no one will ever allow it. Is that the carouser gives you advantage on your carousing check? Because then that means it synergizes with the bard, and that's just stupid. Like, it's just ridiculously dumb. Like, basically, if the carouser, and honestly, that still leads me to think that the carousing, what we've got so far for their moves is fun. It's not dumb enough still. Like, it needs to be so stupid. Like, I want this guy jumping into volcanoes.
We're working there. Yeah, we had Aaron had a great idea for an ability where, you know, a brawler guy, you know how they take off their shirt and go into a fight. We were trying to figure out, you know, if you take off your armor, you know, if you remove your AC, but you'll get some kind of weird buff if you do that for a certain amount of rounds or something, you know, something something wild.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that though? I almost feel like there should be a clause somewhere that if like the carouser is doing something stupid, the GM like rewards them in a way that they see fit. But I don't know.
Well, there's, you know, certainly mechanics from other games where, like, if you don't wear armor, it gives you some resistance to damage. I mean, is that like he's like so drunk or stupid that he can take a hit without really a problem? Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of the idea for when they're at 1 health. They can take like a couple of hits before they go down. And then their 50% threshold is they start smashing things. They like break objects to do extra damage.
Okay. Are they going to be basically just like slamming beers or ales the whole time in the adventure? Is
that's kind of the idea, yeah.
Well, what about having like a way to do like an intoxication level and let that basically be the boost to their abilities and stuff?
Yeah, I tried to figure out how, if they were gonna, you know, if tracking, you know, but then they had to be tracking like how much alcohol that on them, and I wasn't trying to have it too of a parasitic class that had to rely on you keeping track of these other, like, you know, little mundane items or whatever, you know. But one thing that Aaron kind of talked about the first time we were talking about it is what he did talk about was doing a mid dungeon carouse, like, you know, you pitch in loose gold and then, you know, we all kind of do the whole process that you do for a carousing thing, but instead you're getting like mid dungeon benefits rather than, because you're going to fork over some gold to maybe, like, you know, maybe stay alive or something, you know. It's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely throw away my 50 gold pieces to gamble and maybe get like some health back or get maybe even a spell slot back or something crazy, you know, depending on, like, you know, the carousing chart that I'll come up with this for the whole thing.
Oh, so they have a special one just for this one, for like dungeon carousing. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I like that.
But the drunkenness, I guess, is from him, like, you know, his intoxication sort of. He gets sort of crazier and wilder as his health goes down, much like, you know, the longer you party and stay out and that sort of stuff too, and you find new reserves of abilities or, you know, fighting or whatever, right?
Right. I was trying to think about like attributes of like when somebody starts to get really intoxicated, that you could kind of lean into from a game mechanic perspective, if that's the direction you guys are going.
I think we've got a lot of the major stuff covered, because like we've got a taunt, so that's like the belligerentness, like right away.
Okay.
Then
Cool.
we've got smashing things, and then we've got like can take a beating near the end. I think like those are all like the major, you know, pins
Okay.
of being
Yeah, you guys.
trashed.
Okay. You're much further along than I thought. Okay, so that's cool.
And
That's
then-
great. Those are great ideas.
So all I really want is I want like one extra clause in here that will really incentivize the player to do stupid stuff. And I almost like wanted to make it. Oh, okay, Brady. I want to come back to the idea of them being like an agent of Loki. I wonder if we can make it almost like a they're a priest of Loki. They're like the the holy one of partying, right? We lean into that slightly, and we're like, if you know, Loki ever deems you to be a buzzkill, then he'll smite you. But I wonder, like, how do we lean into that? This guy's almost drawn, basically.
Yeah, Alan, I sent you the stream that we're both streaming from our own YouTube channels, but I've got my own stream, and that way you can see. I have his drawing up on there as well, but you can also see like the class that I'm doing as well. I would share my screen, but I think my bandwidth would die.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, groups carousing with one or more carousers. Add roll with advantage. Yeah, Alan, we were trying to toy with this idea of automatic hitting, a certain, maybe, gating at, automatic hits, but destroying the item essentially. And when you do it, we called it fighting dirty. And yeah, you can destroy an item in your hand to automatically deal damage to a close target. But if, it'll do more damage if it's 2 slots or if it's like 3 slots worth of an item.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. That's really good.
And then we have like a taunt ability and the dungeon corrals and then yeah, Aaron is coming up.
Oh, no.
I'll push back because I think. Oh yeah.
You have the write up for the stuff that you've done so far. Where can I see the write up of the current mechanics you have?
I just sent you the YouTube link because we're streaming live on YouTube, and you can, like I said,
Okay, cool.
you'll be able to see my screen on there. I would just mute it so that way you don't hear the echo and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Echo.
And so, yeah, don't mind the. I've got some Romeo and Juliet references in here with the taunt ability.
I did the classic drawing on the wrong layer.
Oh no.
That's fine. No one will know. They'll never know.
Picture's great.
I don't know if we'll use this as the official, but I wouldn't be mad.
Nope. I think it'd be funny if you just drew another carouser that was like slumped like on the ground or something. Maybe they're like holding up another mug in the air and not letting it slosh.
I was originally gonna draw him on a like pile of dead bodies, but I feel like, I mean, first of all, that's a lot of work, but also
You could just do like some skeletons or maybe just like a creature or something,
a creature.
Like a basilisk or, a unicorn or something. He's like bashed the unicorn over the head.
Yeah.
Target.
So are you guys pretty much done then with all the abilities, do you think?
Yeah, I guess for the most part.
Open
I
ideas.
guess yeah. If you got any fun thing else or fun stuff, because
I was thinking of one thing that I've always thought was kind of fun to do in some other games is they have like abilities in like old school games where you could like push yourself if you were a spellcaster and actually damage yourself to cast spells or something like that. And I'm not suggesting this is a spellcasting class, but what I'm suggesting is perhaps you do like a last ditch effort or something like that where you basically just pass out as a result of what you're doing.
I actually love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, hold on. Yeah, because I was talking about like, I almost want this guy to have the ability to hurt himself.
Right, like
what if
last
for
ditch effort he goes to 0 HP or something. Yeah.
Or what if you have an ability, maybe it's a certain amount of times per day, or maybe it's even a dice check or something, but you roll a d4 and then for that many rounds, you roll everything with advantage, and then after that, you're passed out for that many rounds. You know, it's like, all right, I get to roll the next 3 rounds with advantage, and then for the next 3, I'm just utterly incapacitated.
I feel like we can go harder. You roll damage equal to his like max his HD. You know what I mean?
This is where you could write. This is where we can use the half your level clause.
Yeah. It's just like if you're level 3, you roll 3d8 and you take that much damage, but then you get to do like everything with advantage and crit and do whatever. I mean, I like the last ditch effort as well. Like, just like maybe it's just when they reach level 0 HP, they get one more turn.
Well, is there another fun?
I kind of like them, them being able to pull this off, not just when they actually accidentally get hit, but they're just like, all right, I'm going to go for it, and they basically know they're going to knock themselves out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. I don't know. I think it's just kind of great. It's just like, you're just basically sacrificing yourself for the end of the fight. And as soon as, basically you're done with your whatever it's going to be, you just fall over, passed out. I think that's just great. I did kind of like what you mentioned, Brady, just, roll a d4, get to roll with advantage for that many rounds, and then you pass out for that many rounds. That's kind of a cool way to do it, but whatever.
No, yeah.
What if I wrote, last one standing, once per day, add half your level round down to all rolls, then pass out for 1d4 rounds, and then pass out for 1d4 rounds or something. So yeah, you get to like add your level to half your stuff, and then after that, then you are guaranteed to fall like dead on your face.
If you want like simple language, you could just be like roll a d4 for that many rounds you roll with advantage, then for that many rounds you're passed out.
Yeah. Kind
of like a simple way of putting it.
This guy's it's getting bogged. It's getting bogged down.
Yeah, he's got way too much going on.
I can move some of these down. I might have just enough. We'll see.
Trying to fit too much in there.
Yeah. This carousing class is useless. Or he's OP. One of those. Add half your level and to all rolls for 1d4 rounds, then pass out. I went off the rails. Yeah, so I just have it as once per day, add half your level round down to all rolls for 1d4 rounds, then become incapacitated for the same amount afterwards. But I feel like, yeah, there's an easier way I feel like to simplify it. Then what's like not faint, but yeah, it's like, is there another word for incapacitated or faint that's like quicker and simpler?
Honestly, I just go for it. Say he's officially dying.
and then goes to 0 HP and becomes dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too.
Should we do it for all rolls for 1d4 rounds? Or should we just give it like, some abilities in Shadow Dark, they'll be like, you get it for 3 rounds. You're guaranteed for 3 rounds. I don't know if that's
Maybe he gets to
worth it.
roll
And
his
sometimes-
Constitution, same as like the dying rules.
Wait, what do you mean?
So like, for the number of rounds, he gets to roll his Constitution.
How does dying work again?
When you're dying, it means you got to 0 and you roll a d20 every time. Or when you become dying, you roll a d4, add your Constitution. That's how many rounds you'll stay before you actually die.
Yeah, so that's
that's
what I'm saying is that's how many rounds they get to go full.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. It's sort of like you use the same mechanic that already exists for the number of rounds they get to, while they're dying, they basically get to have this great ability kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm on board.
So
I think that works. But then, how many rounds do they get when they're officially dying? Does it take away from their dying rounds? Maybe this is how we kill this class off.
Wait, are we saying that you get to enter this mode when you are actually dying? Because technically dying is when you're at 0 HP, and then therefore you're supposed to be
No.
incapacitated. Or so. Are we saying that we do this thing and then you literally do start dying?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to do the same duration that it takes you to actually die. You do that duration when you choose to, but at the end of that first duration, you're at 0 hit points, and now you actually do start dying. Right.
So we should I just say add half your level to all rolls for 1d4 plus con?
Yeah.
For con rounds.
It's the rolls. No,
Yeah,
I mean, sure. If you don't want it to be OP, I won't. I think in order to put themselves in a dying state, you got to make it worth it. You give everything advantage. And I mean everything. So like that means the player is like, I like jump and grab the chandelier and swing across and kick the bad guy into the mountain. And you're like, yep, roll with advantage. To hell with it. It's a party.
Roll. Okay, so yeah, I guess that also. Do we just make this a once per day ability? Do I clause it like that? By the way, just like once per day, you can do this thing.
Yeah,
I think that's probably.
So roll all rolls with advantage for 1d4 rounds, 1d4 plus con rounds.
Right, and then at the end of that, you go to 0 hit points.
Okay. Advantage. Yeah, once per day, advantage to all rolls for 1d4 plus con rounds, then go to 0 HP.
That's awesome. That's super fun.
This is great.
Now, how's that going to work if they have advantage and they start using their fight dirty ability?
Oh, amazing! No, that's the character.
Right, exactly, because you go into this mode, this last ditch effort or whatever you're going to call it, and then you start like hurling stuff, just whatever you can grab, and you're throwing everything with advantage. Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, like at this point, the character is zany enough. If I was playing them, I'd be like, yeah, that 300 gold treasure we found 3 rooms back, I'm smashing that over the big bad for like 20 damage with advantage. I think it works.
The damage of their weapon though doesn't really go up, right? It says fight dirty. It works. So it depends on the number of slots, right?
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out how to say like how much weight it was, and so I was like, oh well, what if I just sort of reason it like that, like whatever slot it's worth, and then that's what you can do. That way you could be like, oh, this chair on the ground or this other thing that's maybe nearby if you want to try to work a scene with your DM or whatever,
Right. I totally think it makes sense to make it based on slots. I think that's cool. But like if you had 300 gold, like your example you were just talking about, how many slots is 300 gold?
Really depends on the item still. Because you could have a gem. You could have a gem that's worth 1 slot and worth 300 gold. But like if someone found like a giant statue or a golden statue, right?
That might be for specifically gold pieces though. I think that if it's just loose gold, is it like 100 to a slot?
Right. So you would actually then swing a 300 gold bag at the big bad, right? And then if you were on your dying breath or whatever it is, and you get advantage, and you hit with this bag of 300 gold, you're going to do 1d10 points of damage, right?
Yeah. And I mean,
And you have to
hell,
roll with advantage. You're definitely
roll the damage with advantage. Why not?
exactly. Yeah, because you're gonna the thing is about fighting dirty is that you're supposed to automatically hit with it, but yeah, you're gonna break it.
Okay. So when you're on your last ditch effort or whatever you're going to call this, I don't know what ability name you're going to use, but
I call it last one standing.
Okay, and so you're going to do everything with advantage. That's your chance to hit, your damage, everything goes with advantage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And that's ability only comes online if you're at less than half health points. You can only fight dirty if you're at less than half health, so it kind of incentivizes you to be a little risque and to kind of, push your character to that limit,
Yeah, I mean, like, at that point, I'd be like, I go in, like, tease a goblin, get hit, go in to push my limit, or whatever, last man standing, smash a chair in the wizard's face.
I love the lovely long names like Come at thee boy or Come at thee knave, but I may have to just shorten it for now that I'm like, okay, I don't have that much room. And this class will look broken if I've used every single white space. Probably.
How about just have at thee?
Yeah, I just put instigate.
Okay.
I was like, at full HP, you can instigate. It's like this. All right. And yeah, that's supposed to be a thing that can try to force humanoids to attack you.
I'm not liking this orc. He's looking pretty bad.
How did I word this earlier? So yeah, instigate, charisma, DC 12, target humanoid must try to attack you on your next turn. Until next round. Must try to attack you for next round? How do they word this? Target humanoid must try to attack you until next round or for the next round? Until your next round?
On the creature's next turn, they must try to attack you within reason. I don't know if that's more complicated or less complicated.
What if I'm tripping myself out with the word target too much. For one round, target humanoid targets you. I don't know if that's because what if it's spellcaster or some other thing that targets just sort of means puts their focus on you.
Yeah.
Must target you.
I mean, I feel like we just gotta call this thing what it is. It's a taunt. You goad the creature to attack you on their next turn within reason. Simple. Simple language.
You could also say something like the target humanoid can only attack you on the next turn.
Yeah, that works too.
And that way, if they can't really deliver an attack, then
yeah, that actually does work.
They give up their attack.
Yeah, I like that actually.
So target humanoid only targets you next turn.
Yes. That's actually
Okay.
perfect because it gets rid of all of the unnecessary language of like they must target you within reason if they're able to and blah blah blah. No, it's like they can only target you, and that doesn't mean they can't do other things. But if they're going to attack, they're only going to attack you. So they're probably going to attack you.
Right, and the same thing would apply for spells. So I think you got it covered there.
Oh,
All right.
this orc sucks.
So the DC for the charisma check, how does that work? Is that like a you're basically they have to make a charisma check against DC 12? Is that what they're having to do, the target?
Oh yeah, good point. No, I wanted to make it to where it's like the bard or the ranger, where it's actually the carouser or like a spellcaster needs to make this check.
I think the system we worked out is pretty good because it's skills. We
Yeah, because
it was,
we had said to make the target level creature.
you can put this at the
The-
very end. Basically, is the carouser makes a charisma DC check. DC is equal to 10 plus the level of the creature.
Yeah, right. So that it's harder to taunt or instigate higher level creatures.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to get at.
But-
'Cause yeah.
But
Mhm.
also not impossible, right?
No, yeah, it's not impossible at all. Right.
And you know what? One nice thing here is we have accidentally avoided the situation where wait, have we? The bard could go into all out mode or last man standing and then have advantage on the taunt move.
That seems
I mean,
fine,
he
though.
can only instigate at full health.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we didn't put a
okay.
limit on when they can go into last man standing mode, did we?
Oh, you're right. Yes, you're right. He could then.
Is that a problem?
I don't think it really is. I mean, what's wrong with? I mean,
So for like 4
Yeah,
rounds, he gets to do everything with impunity, but then he's out.
yeah.
We get rid of the bastard.
So well, yeah, I forgot about this clause too. I don't know if this taunt should the taunt just be, literally goading? Is that powerful enough, or do we also need to make the creature target with disadvantage too? Is that also
No, I think the taunt is good enough.
Okay?
I don't, and also you're out of room, buddy. I don't know where you're putting that extra language.
Hey, I fit with disadvantage in there. I managed to get it
You're
in there because I
fitting
think
it with disadvantage. You're adding more with disadvantage.
Why did you add disadvantage in there?
because we originally talked about this, it was going to be, and when you watch the stream, I just deleted it, so
Wait,
yeah, I'll catch up in a
target
second.
humanoid. Oh, target.
I'm about to delete it in the stream.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I took it out. So yeah, just target humanoid only targets you next turn.
Got it.
Perfect.
DC is equal to 10 plus the creature's level.
Amazing.
All right. Now for talents for the snake eyes, do we just
Snake eyes.
increase?
Oh, I see. We're doing talent. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let me open
It's
up
always
the
like
book.
it's always like its little capstone crazy ability.
Is it? Okay, so priest. Let's have a look. Priest. 2 gain advantage on casting one spell you know. Okay. Well, here's an idea I'm gonna throw out there. Last man standing gets a +1. I'm just gonna throw that out there since it's his craziest move.
Or last man standing gets maybe another use per day, or is that what you're saying?
No, I'm
Or
saying
+1
like,
rounds?
well, I guess I was saying it gets +1 rounds,
Okay.
or say the language might be +1 to rounds.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely solid. +1 to.
We definitely need to make. Is it which one gets the ability bonus?
7 to 9, I guess.
We definitely make that charisma.
+2 points to strength, constitution, or charisma.
Well, I'm just looking at it. Okay, so 6 to 9 we make. Oh, okay, yeah, that's actually perfect.
Like
Yeah,
any
strength,
or any stat really.
strength. No. Strength, constitution, charisma is perfect. Those are like the three that the PC is really going to care about, or the player is going to really care about, in my opinion. And then obviously the 12 is choose a talent or +2. Choose a talent or +2 points to distribute to stats. Then, okay, so the 10 to 11 is the one that gets a little bit of wiggle. There's a bit of interesting wiggle flavor.
Yeah.
Choose one kind of armor. You get +1 AC from that. Oh, that's actually really neat.
There
could just
is in some other games, the one thing that kind of comes to mind when I think about this character is this whole idea in other games about like improvised weapons.
Oh yeah.
You know, and what I mean by that is, you know, you can basically turn anything into a weapon, like a rock, a table, you know, the leg of a table, you know, a chandelier, that kind of thing. I wonder, I mean, because that would be pretty funny if they're just like picking up all kinds of random stuff and making weapons out of them, right? Grab somebody's backpack and now it's another weapon. I don't know if you can implement something like that.
We can't really put it in the talents because this is something they roll whenever they level up. So if ever they get something like that again, then it's basically like a dead talent, or otherwise we have to put in like language that suggests that they get something else instead if they get it again.
The improvised weapon thing is supposed to be sort of captured in the clause of fight dirty because it just says destroy an item, right? So yeah, whatever you pick up, it gets, you know, whatever's in your hand gets destroyed. So
Yeah,
I kind of hope that would lend the improvised weapon sort of reading in there. But what if I nerf some of the fight dirty initial dices, so I started a D4 instead of a D6 and work my way up to the D8, you know, go D4, D6, D8. And what if on the 10 to 11 it just says improve your fight dirty dice tiers, you know? So then it goes to D6, D8, D10, and then it can even go D8, D10, D12 or something crazy, you know?
Or you could just add a flat like +2 to fight dirty damage.
Oh yeah, that's a good, yeah, or +1, yeah, just maybe
or +1, whatever you want to do. But
that's a good idea too. Yeah, just to give it a static buff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like rolling 3 to 6 though, because it just says +1 to damage rolls is an option I could take, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
That's probably better than rolling a 10 or 11, because if it's still a +1 to your fight dirty, it's like, well, I might as well have it to all weapons.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about lowering the dice tiers and then giving him the ability to increase those?
It's either that, or for 10 to 11, you could do, say, it's a +2 damage to fight dirty. But I don't know. Maybe that's getting too strong.
Okay.
The problem with dice tiers is, like, what do you do after the top die is a D12? What if they get it again?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, because if they get more than, if we never by one, so go to 1, 2. Yeah, if they roll more than twice, yeah, they're kind of stuck at a D12, aren't they? I could put here in the carousing chart where I could say if you get 10 to 11 more than twice, I could be like, you know, on duplicates you can re-roll this, you know, or you have to re-roll after twice or something, you know.
I don't know. I mean, like what's his name? Wizard. Okay, I mean, I guess that's variable, so never mind. Let me see here. Priest gets gain advantage on casting one spell, so that's never going to be a problem because they're just always going to have an extra spell they want. Gain weapon mastery with one additional weapon type. Almost wish I had the scrolls in front of me. Okay, so the thief gets gain advantage on initiative rolls and then says re-roll if duplicate.
Yeah.
So we could just do something like that if we want. Personally, I find that less interesting. But
Seawolf gets to pick 2 different gods to worship instead of just one god, and Seers say increase the die tier of your destined talent by 1. So they refer to dice tiers in that ability because people have actually brought that up on this too, because it says so for the Seer class, whenever you use a luck token, add d6 to the roll. And I've gone on here and been like, well, wait a second, if they roll 10 to 11 or 10 11 12 every single level, they could theoretically increase this destined thing all the way up. And so I've actually gone on the Arcane Library forums and been like, yeah, people talked about this, and sure enough, they're like, hey, wait a second, can't this go up to a d20 or something crazy if we kept doing it theoretically? But then I reasoned, well, this name of this ability is called Destined, so it would be for surely destined if some goddamn thing like that actually happened, where they only rolled 10, 11, 12 on this character talent for this particular character. So it's like, hell yeah, I would let him go all the way up to a d20.
this is true.
Another thing I'm just thinking out loud here as we're going. I mean, go for that if you like that. But I was just going to suggest maybe on a 10 or 11, once per day, drink an alcoholic beverage as a healing potion.
Ooh. Whoa, that's... I might be inspired here. Once per day, drink... drink alcoholic beverage like a health potion.
Right.
Or I don't know if it like a health potion, or do I need to say like an alcohol
or
you consume becomes
to regain X, however you want to roll hit dice, and I would just do it just like a healing potion. Regain not many hit points, rather.
Oh, okay. So just write it out. Drink alcohol to gain 1d6.
Let me just,
what does it say?
Why don't you just say treat alcoholic beverage as a minor healing potion? Let me just actually look up the specific.
Because health potion, it gives you whatever your level is, it gives you that much health. So if you're like level 1 to 3, it gives you back like 2d6, and if you're level 5 to 6, it gives you back like 3d8. So the higher level you are, the more health it gives you back. So that's why health potions are nice, because they always scale with you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that might be broken, but hold on a second.
That's kind of nice about trying to get this character back into a fight, though, and
I don't want them coming back into the fight. I want them to die.
Well, they can die, and they can be like, here, bro, second win. They pour some alcohol down his gullet, and he's like, I can fight again.
I actually kind of like that. Why don't you just call it second win? They either,
Careful about that. That's a D&D 5e fighter.
Fair enough.
First level bullshit.
We don't want that. Never mind. You're right. We don't want that.
What if I just wrote, once per day, drink alcohol to gain effects of a health potion?
I'm just trying to find the health potion. It is like eluding me.
Or a potion of health. I think maybe it's in the back of the book. It's in the magic item spot.
I'm looking.
I'm gonna get it before you.
No, you're not.
Potion 310, page 310.
God damn it.
A glass with a vanilla liquid inside. Not way I would ever think of potion of healing, right? It gets hit points based on their level. 1d6 for 0 to 3, 2d8 for 4 to 6, yada yada yada.
I mean,
so I could
That is absurdly good. I wish in the for the magic items here at the back it would also list the gold value.
So is potion of health and healing potion in Shadow Dark, are those the same thing? Is there only one type?
Yeah, there's only one. Yeah, it's just called Potion of Healing.
Okay.
And
Well,
Aaron,
having it scale with level, I don't know, maybe that's too powerful because, I mean, how rare is a potion of healing in Shadow Dark? Is that something that you'd want to give a player character, like a free one every day?
Yeah, that's true.
Is that maybe a little OP? I don't know.
I agree. I almost
Maybe
like
just have it gain like 1d6 of HP if you like that. If you don't like the ability at all, then that's fine. But
I just wanted I wanted to be able to scale because I didn't think 1d6 HP.
not everything needs to scale.
But yeah, if it's like one of your talents, it'd be kind of nice.
I mean,
because
being
it's like,
able
I finally got to level 7, and it's like, I'm finally level 7 or level 9, and it's like, I can gain 1d6 health points back per day, and it just seems like, eh. So I was just wondering if there was a way to. That's why I was like, Potion of Healing, so that way it kind of scales with them. Potion of Healing is still, you could still bomb on those. You can still get a bunch of ones on those rolls.
The pit fighter does get the flourishes. I always have to remind myself that the pit fighter gets those flourishes, and they are kind of OP.
Yeah, they're.
Why don't we
you get
just
them
like
for
treat it
free.
the same? Oh, and I mean, at that point, it just starts to sound like another ability instead of like, what would you like a talent? I don't think this is a talent. I guess that's where I'm going. I don't think this is a talent.
so you think like talents are basically more like bonuses that help all of the base abilities of the character
Yeah,
perform better.
talents are basically like, when you level up in D&D, you get to pick a bunch of stuff. Talents are that you don't get to pick anything. You just get your talent.
Yep, I understand. Okay.
So, I know occasionally in there they'll say like you get a thing, but it's quite rare, and it's usually still a bonus.
I'm trying to look at some of the other ones for comparison. Okay. Yeah, so check this one out. For the pit fighter, you're talking about the flourish, which they get every time. So for flourish, 3 times per day, they regain 1d6 hit points when they hit an enemy with an attack.
Yep.
On their 10 to 11 talents, that flourish gets another d6. So if you get the 10 to 11 in talent, you and get every time you hit your flourish, now you get to roll 2d6 health back. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but the flourish isn't a talent itself. The flourish is a built-in
Correct.
ability.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
The talent boosts the ability you already have. So
Well, what if we chopped it off, and what if we did it like this? Once per day, you can drink alcohol, regain 1d6 hit points, and then I can also just say, if you get a duplicate of this, just add another d6. So that way, maybe you have a chance of maybe making once per day, but it'll never be as strong as a potion of healing.
I'll agree to that, but you better make that like the 10-11.
Yeah.
That's got to be on the far end, because that's ridiculously powerful.
are you going to give them the ability to take a drink and gain hit points just as a regular ability?
Yeah, but once per day. Once per day, you can drink alcohol to regain 1d6 health points. And if you get this talent more than once, then the talent will get better too. So that way, if you get it twice, you'll regain 2d6 health points.
Yeah, okay. So you might make the ability, the feature of the class, maybe imbibe alcohol or something like that.
I won't, because I won't even name an ability. I'll just say once per day, because I'm looking at the pit fighter now. For their snake eyes result, it just says it doesn't have an ability name. It just says once per day, ignore all damage and effects from one attack.
Oh.
And then
that's a talent.
That's one of their talents. Yeah, that's the snake eye talent. You got to get the double ones to get that one.
Arcane breaking their own rules.
And then for the sea wolf class, once per day, go berserk. immune to damage for 3 rounds. So just, you know, it doesn't say in bold or anything, go berserk. It just says once per day, go berserk, semicolon, immune to damage for 3 rounds. So that's why I was getting away with, or why I was advocating I get away with it by just saying, yeah, once per day, drink alcohol to regain some health.
I mean, I gotta be honest, I kind of disagree with it there too, but it's canon, so I'll go with it.
Yeah.
Well, the other way you could spin this is you could make it an ability that they all of them have. Any carouser has this ability, and then the 10 to 11 would be you get to add 1 more d6.
Yeah.
That way it would fit what you're talking about. So you'd have to slide in an additional ability.
That's
I don't
what
know
I
if you
was
have room to
thinking.
do that text. Yeah.
I was genuinely thinking that, but I know for a fact that we can't fit it in there.
Yeah.
You can't fit it under dungeon carouse.
It's full.
I could just fit it in. I could maybe just fit it in the carouser passive area, and I could be like, you know, once per day, under, you know, as in addition to rolling with carousing checks with advantage, be like, and once per day, since you're a carouser, once per day can do this too. So I could do, so yeah, for carouser, I'll just do copy paste this bad boy up here, because I think I should be able to fit all that stuff on this side. Oops.
This is funny. It's awfully tempting to want to like cram more in, right?
Yeah. So yeah, so carouser. Groups carousing with 1 or more carousers roll with advantage. Once per day can drink alcohol to regain 1d6 HP. And then on the 10 to 11 talent, we can just write add a 1d6 to carouser's effect. Add a 1d6 to the. I may need to rename carouser. Partier.
I think carouser works.
I like it, but I feel like I'm using the word carousing too much in this.
No, you
this
just said
sentence.
it too much tonight. It's no longer sounding like a word.
Yeah. Rabble rouser.
Rabble rouser.
When you carouse with a rabble rouser, and you. I'll just rename it alcoholic, I guess.
Jeez.
Regain health points when you drink alcohol.
All right.
We've got it's Shadow Dark, y'all. Come on.
We've got a dead orc here.
Oh yeah, what are you drawing on this side?
Hey, we got a dead orc over here.
Someone, Flint Fireforge said, saw Shadow Dark and was drawn like a moth to a flame or a stingback to a neck. All right. Well, yeah, I think we've tried to invent a class that likes getting hit or wants to toy with the idea of getting hit and then push the envelope in that sense.
I think it works.
Well, I
Yeah.
definitely want to play this class. Sounds great to me.
I think they're just broken enough to get banned.
Well, they should, right? I mean, that should be part of the goal here.
Yeah, they get kicked out of the dungeon.
All right, guys. Hey, I got to run, but thanks a lot for letting me participate.
Yeah, no worries.
Absolutely. Thanks for dropping by, Alan.
All right. Have a good night.
Take it easy.
Adios. All right. So yeah, I'm just trying to fill out the general little about paragraph in here. I guess we've been on this for about 2 hours or something.
Yeah. I'm certainly gonna have to
drum-
take off pretty soon.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Drunken brawler and partier of the Navis degree. I don't know if that really works as a lowest. Drunken brawler and partier of the highest or lowest degree? Question mark. Devoted. I wish I could put this, this idea about making it focus around a god of some sort, like this Dionysus Loki aspect.
Yeah, I feel like that's a different design. That's if we want to take this character seriously, to be honest. And that's when I think the route that I would want to go there is if you wanted to go back to like the brewmaster idea, or like, carousing type, is you start making genuine spells, and except they're all listed as like beverage types. So you have like the stout draft, and then you have the black or the dark whatever ale, and all of them are listed as beverages. And every single time, like basically this guy's like carrying all of this with them. You just take it for granted they're carrying all of these drinks, and they roll Constitution saves to quote cast a spell. To basically take a drink, and then that drink dictates how they need to play on the next turn. And I think that those things need to appease Loki and Dionysus in their own way. I think Dionysus is probably appeased just by like the imbibing part, but I think the Loki needs to be like, you need to go and cause some trouble, and like make sure you're doing like outlandish stuff.
Dionysus just wants you to know that, he wants you to know that he exists and that he's got power over you. Otherwise, he's gonna make your mom go and rip you up, like, because she thinks you're lying. But yeah, Dionysus just wants to be like, yo, I am a son of Zeus. I'm not nobody. Acknowledge me.
Acknowledge me.
But yeah, I get what you're saying though. So I just wrote a drunken brawler and partier of the highest or lowest degree, devoted to braving the Shadow Dark and then having epic festivities afterwards.
Sounds great.
And sometimes daring. Well, we didn't give him any of the other weapons either. I just put axes.
Axe. Hell yeah.
Weapons, most.
Hold on, here we go.
I could just give him all weapons because I feel like I don't really want to limit him. Just because he can just pick it up and hit you with it. And he's not going to have weapon mastery, so I feel like he's not going to be able to really... Yeah, because what fighters have access to everything, but... I don't know. I don't know. If I put more than a couple weapons in it, it's going to take up the room too.
Yeah, exactly.
I put weapons all for now. Because I'm like... I'm not sure if it really matters.
I don't know. Axes and maces. How about that? You got your cut. You got your cut. No swords. Swords are too honorable for this class. You get your smash and you get your slash.
Axes, maces, staves.
Stabs?
Staff.
I guess
sticks.
so. Staves with the parentheses, he breaks these. Or they break these.
It's when you're like, hungover and it's like the thing, it's like your support staff, when you're like, I don't know. And we didn't come up with this dungeon carousing, but I'll pitch some ideas, and Aaron will send me his amazing drunken brawler
I think
image, and we'll combine it all.
Are we still doing the mid dungeon carouse? I almost feel like that's too much now.
Nah, I think we should. I'm too sold on it anyway. I'll whip some stuff up, and we'll go over in private, and then before we post it for the good people.
I think the
I think
only
there's
thing
a-
now that we're doing the drinking thing for health, we can't have him recover health.
To the
Uh,
vibe. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, you know,
no.
he can only do it. He can only drink it once per day.
Yeah, I know, but like, you underestimate just how important to the vibe of Shadow Dark it is that the players at all times feel like every turn they spend in the dungeon is pushing their luck. And I know this is a Gonzo character. Don't get me wrong. I know they are over the top, but like if you let them heal, every time you let them heal, that's an extra turn they get to stay in the dungeon without feeling true fear, and that just doesn't feel like Shadow Dark.
Okay, okay. Very true. But we have the only reason I push back on the heal ability because otherwise I'm usually like, oh yeah, no, less health. The only reason I wonder is that this is the one character who is like deliberately trying to play that yo-yo effect. And so yeah, I'm like, do they need just a little more access just so that way they can kind of keep going a little harder? You know, I don't know.
No, I want them. I want them to die.
Because that way it's like, you know, they'll get reckless, they'll drink alcohol, they'll get some health back and go right back into the fight, and then they'll get themselves killed.
Yeah, I feel like. Well, okay, hear me out. The drinking ability is temporary health.
Oh, man, I love the idea of temporary health, but I'm not sure if I've been able to convince or figure out how to properly pitch it, you know, because I tried to do that with the wolf cloak class for a while and was trying to figure out how to word that, and
Yeah,
I feel like it
it is
became
a tricky concept, isn't it? Because it's like you have to put in like how many rounds does it last? Do you get to
Right.
be overhealed? How does it differ from normal health? Does it actually add anything to the gameplay, or is it just another thing to manage?
That's what I figured. Yeah, once per day you can regain 1d6 health points, and unless you roll that talent, which you only get every so often, which is still only, you know, a small roll, I just feel like it's not too much. And you know, once again, it's like if the pit fighter gets to just do it for free a couple times, I feel like this guy can just drink alcohol once. You know,
Yeah, I feel like that's
per
almost
day,
an
right?
argument for why the pit fighter should be banned.
But the pit fighter's fun to watch because yeah, he kind of goes out there to die and push that, you know, get to roll those 18 checks to not die and to go relentless or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's definitely worked in practice. That's been a fun class to watch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I really
He
like the
definitely
pit
does the
fighter.
whole definitely does the whole gladiator like, are you not entertained? You know, and like I captured it well.
Yeah, my friend Peter is playing it in our halls
Oh, okay.
campaign, and I mean it is really nice. It's really satisfying to like, oh yeah, I took a little bit of damage. Well, shit, I'll just like do a flourish as I, you know, and I'll recover on the same turn, and that's just like super satisfying. And you know, I also think it's nice if you can like incentivize the player. Like, what are you doing? Are you like doing a little sidestep? Are you taunting them while you're doing it? You know, add a bit of flavor to the whole thing. I think I'm done with this drawing. I don't think I can add anything else.
Yeah, epic. See, is he on an adventure? Like, yeah, why is the orc only in skivvies?
You know, I don't know. He's a very proud orc. He's ugly and he's proud.
Oh, you're talking quoting stupid SpongeBob. Oh my god! You thought you'd be able to get away with that reference?
Yeah. No, of course not. We're all millennials here.
Yeah.
When in doubt, pinky out. Okay, so oh, I guess that the only thing, like, I would be fine with the dungeon carousing that we have as written if you are cool with keeping the healing in there. Because really, I mean, unless you want to give him the healing, the drinking a beverage to heal as a normal ability instead of as a talent as well, then like he's only got the recoverability with the mid dungeon carouse. I know that was probably difficult to care to follow along with.
Well, yeah, say it again.
So what I'm saying is, does he have a normal ability to drink a beverage to heal, or is it just a talent?
No, right now we gave it. It's one of his regular abilities. It's built in with his carouser passive,
Jesus.
and once per day he can just drink one drink and get 1d6 health points back. I mean, he can still roll a 1 or 2. He can still just whiff and not do anything really.
Can I see that? Where is that in the?
Yeah, I have it up on my stream right now.
Instigate, fight dirty, carouser. Oh, once a day can imbibe alcohol to regain 1d6.
And then I have it on the talent that this can be improved by another 1d6, just kind of like the flourish.
All right,
But,
let me.
but the thing about flourish is that he gets to use it 3 times per day. But each time he has a chance to increase from a d6 to multiple d6s. This guy still only gets to do it once per day, even though he'll get to improve the dice quantity just like the flourish. So
Right. Interesting thing about that is that if he hasn't, I guess if he's level 2, he's likely to be able to make use of that extra damage. Hold on, I'm just trying to find my original pitch for the mid dungeon cross. There it is. 40 GP, DC 12. Everyone recovers 4 HP. Yeah, I guess that's still valid because I did say everyone. So like this is something that everyone's benefiting from. Which I know is really tricky because like that's kind of the priest's job. So like, is that? But like he only gets to do it once. So it's not as good as the priest.
and it's going to be more variable. Like you don't really know what, like you might get the healing effect. You might get some other random thing, like maybe everyone just gets +1 on an initiative next combat or next initiative roll, or maybe everyone gets, maybe if they find some random treasure or something lying around.
Are we doing that?
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah, I
adding
was gonna do
variability
it.
to that? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to add a bunch of variability probably to it.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, come up with a bunch of if you think of some interesting effects or mid-dungeon carousing results, send them away because I was going to come up with anything from the instigate an encounter or something like that. Of course, if it's the roll is really low, to little health point gain, or maybe if, like I said, maybe it rolls really high, maybe somehow the wizard can get like a level 1 or 2 spell back or something if they're missing one or something along those lines.
Okay, that's adding variability to that is tricky because it's a survival skill. Even just a small amount of agency I added to it was like pushing it, I thought, because like there's not a lot you can give the players mid dungeon that won't feel very powerful. But I suppose if they're paying for it.
Because I'd figure, the more, because what if they're like, dude, we might die in here even if we have this gold, and they may be like, yeah, let's spend this gold just to try to get some of our resources back, just so we can like make it out of this thing alive. Like, I was kind of trying to see if like there'd be ever situations like that.
I mean, in this case, I actually feel like things like allies would be pretty powerful. Like you just, you wake up from the party and you have a bard ally. What if, okay, you get a clue.
Yeah, stuff like that too.
So either a clue or like a major, like dungeon specific MacGuffin, like a key, like you find a key, or yeah, I mean a clue works, or a map, or you wake up and there's literally like a hog-tied, denizen of the dungeon, so you can like that gives the party something fun to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um, I think, yeah, I mean, for carousing, if you want to add variability, we almost have to lean into flavor of the dungeon. Um, you
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
you wake up and you find the next trap has been disarmed, or something, some random trap has been broken. One of the, someone who came to the party, like, I'm still thinking like some of the dungeon denizens will like come to party along. Maybe they accidentally trip a trap.
Yeah, it's funny. A curious dungeon denizen, yeah, it sets off a trap and or something. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that kind of stuff. Or yeah, an NPC adventurer dwarf who's also in the dungeon, stumbled upon your party and like added to the fun or something.
Yeah. Oh, how about throwing in like a rival dungeon party?
Yeah. I like it. I like putting this kind of stuff in the results.
So like, if you want to throw a couple in there, but like you encounter a rivaling crawler group or party of crawlers,
Yeah.
and you've accidentally already divulged something of importance because you're trashed. So like that gives both the GM and the players something fun to work with.
Yeah, you were partying a little too loudly, and a rival crawler group stumbles on and repeats the last thing you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I guess I would just write, yeah, you give inconvenient information to a group. But yes, exactly. More of these types of results is what I was thinking.
Um,
And maybe maybe on the high ones, like I said, mechanical one about maybe giving a spell slot back or something really crazy. But
that's really tricky. I actually just I don't think that you can do that. But what you could do is almost as good is give the player, the party, some luck tokens.
yes, there you go.
That's almost as good as a spell back because it helps them prevent a spell loss. I'm trying to think like what if this is something that your party is partying in the dungeon and Loki's like favoring this, what kind of boons would Loki give a party is always the thing that I ask myself. What kind of thing? You wake up and there's a goat. There's just a random goat. Maybe they have a couple of extra. Okay, here's one. This is getting out there now. You wake up and there is a random farm animal that will either lead the party to treasure or to a trap. The GM's choice.
Yeah. Yeah, you spawn a farm animal with 50% chance of hostile or something. It's like, what is this?
It just
Angry
like
cow.
leads away. It's like, kind of insists that the players follow, and it's either leading them to treasure or it's leading them into some kind of horrible pit.
Yeah, I like that. Keep that one around.
Headcanon that it is actually just Loki. Here's a fun like outlandish one. Maybe like Loki just straight up shows up and gives them a side quest. Put in notes, like in parentheses here. Side quest must be very far removed from the party's main objective.
Should I just put like a random god instead of writing Loki? I'll put Like I'll put literally in parentheses like a random god. Like you don't know who's gonna really show up.
It could. I always just imagine that like the Carouser, it like follows Loki. There's no option there. It has to be Loki because no other god would let them party as hard as they do. No, but yeah, if you want to do that, then like
Thor is really
it gives,
more of a people's partier, I would say.
it gives the GM a little bit more to work with if it's any god, because then it can theme the quest around that. You could even then
Right.
like, you know, for instance, if it was like Saint Taragnus, then the GM was like, yeah, they came to your party and they're pissed because you just
I
like
want you to sober up.
they want you to sober up. They're like, you must
are you
pay for
doing?
your transgressions. One of you made a very rude gesture towards my direction, and I'm not having it. Go and do like 50 rosaries and also like slaughter a dragon in my name.
Yeah. I could put a well, then it's still maybe depending on the result number. Yeah, I could put a lawful god appears, or a neutral god appears, or a chaotic god appears. Just kind of whittle it down by alignment, maybe.
Let's just like leave it up to the GM. GM's choice.
Just put GM god.
GM's, yeah. House rules. I think at that point, at this point though, I'm probably gonna take off.
Sounds good. I think we've got a pretty good, excellent class here with what we've whipped up here tonight. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Maybe too much fun. Maybe we pissed off Taragnus.
Yeah. No, we were imbibing. Can't that word be used the same way? We were imbibing this character, right?
I don't think that works. But yeah,
Damn
yeah.
it,
No, we were
damn it.
imbibing this character.
I swear to God, I thought imbibing can also mean like to, you know, invoke, not quite invoke something, but to and drink. Yes, absorb or assimilate ideas or knowledge. We did it live, folks. I asked
We're not
Google
assimilating knowledge to us. We were
ideas or
inseminating.
knowledge. Yeah, we're the ideas and form of the carouser.
All right.
All right, everyone.
I'll let
This
you
was a
have
lot
it.
of fun. We should do this again sometimes. Yeah, once again, go check out all of our stuff on Drive-Thru. The links will be down below. But otherwise, yeah, I guess we'll call it here for an evening.
Yep. As a side note, I got Cairn Warden's edition second Warden's Guide second edition, and it's really good.
Okay.
It's like excellent. Highly recommend.
I've only ever looked at the first of the regular one, so. But there you go. Go check
you
out
go.
the new Karen, everyone.
There's my Bingle recommends of the day.
Yeah.
Every day I will do one. No, I won't. All right. Take it easy, y'all. Hit the like button. I don't know.